two, one. Okay, let's boogie. So the cardiovascular unit at a hospital had 97% of their staff members vaccinated. Of those that were not vaccinated, 6 staff members provided medical reasons for not getting the vaccine shot. What percent of the non-vaccinated did not have a medical reason? All right. So let's take a look at this. So assume that the cardiovascular unit has a total of 457 staff members. So when I set these things up, because when you take a look at them initially, they're a little bit challenging if you don't have a little bit of a strategy to try to knock these things down. And what I do is I always ask myself, okay, so this looks like it's some kind of a percent breakdown, and I'm just counting. In this case, I'm counting staff members. So if I'm going to be counting them up, I always ask myself, okay, so do I know what the total start is? If I know, then I write it down. If I don't, then I just, let's say, call it N. Okay, so that's what I'm going to start with. I basically always begin with, okay, so what is the total amount? Okay, so now in this case, they give me what the total amount is. So that's 450 staff members in this cardiovascular unit. Now, from that, I can go back into the question and then I can say, okay, so what do they tell me about these staff members? Well, the first sentence says that 97% of these staff members were vaccinated. So I can draw kind of 2 lines, which means I'm going to break this down into the vaccinated and the non-vaccinated staff members, right? So they should split up so that the total is equal to 457. Now I know that 97% of them, so I'm going to turn that 97 into decimal. So 97% of those 457 were actually vaccinated. So I'll just put vax there. At the bottom one, I know that 100% minus the 97%, so I guess 3% are basically non-vaccinated. So I like to kind of write these as 1 minus 0.97, or you can just write 3% or 0.03. Okay, so these were non-vaccinated staff members. So that I know for sure. So I can break it down, I can count them up, how many I had in each. But the question doesn't end here because it continues. It says, of those that were not vaccinated, okay, so of those that were not vaccinated, 6 staff members provided medical reasons, okay, for not getting vaccinated. So I have to branch off from the non-vaccinated because that's what this is telling me. It says of those that are not vaccinated, 6 staff members, okay, provided medical reasons for not getting the vaccine shot. Now, I don't actually know what percent that is from the non-vaccinated. Okay, so here is, so I'm going to write here. So here's they have a medical reason. Okay, here these guys do not have a medical reason, no reason. Now, I don't know what that percentage is, right? So whatever that is. Now, I do know that there are 6 of these individuals there that I have that had a medical reason. But I don't know what the actual percentage of that was. Now, it says, or it's asking me, what percent of the non-vaccinated did not have a medical reason, right? So what they're trying to ask me about is they want to know, okay, what percent of the non-vaccinated did not have a medical reason. So they want to know what percent, okay, of staff members that I had right here that had no reason. Okay? So how do I set this up? Well, I'm not going to use the question marks in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let me call this D, right? So D, okay, because I'm changing everything always to decimal. So that would be the percent or the rate of the non-vaccinated who did not have a reason. Which means that on the opposite branch, on the ones that had a reason, I can say 1 minus D, right? Meaning 100% of the non-vaccinated minus the ones that had no reason, right? So whatever percent that was. If I know that, I know that this was equal to 6, right? So that's what I have. So this is my D that I'm going to try to find. Now, once I have this branching set up, from here I have to still solve for my D. Now I can't go, so notice like I can't go in this direction. Like I'm not going to be able to go and look for the ones that had no reason because I don't actually know how many of them I had. However, what I can do is I can go in this direction. Okay, I know exactly how many had a reason. And if I set this thing up, I can still solve for that D. And that D is going to be the percent of the ones that did not have a reason. So let's take a look. So now in terms of setting this up, so I can say, you can still put, let D, and you can, tell your teachers what you are trying to solve for. So D is going to be the kind of percent of the non-vaccinated from the non-vaxxed, okay, staff members. So you can do that there. And then I'm going to write this out. So I'm going to say 6 is equal to, so I'm going to go from the back to the front. So kind of multiply these through. All right, so I have this. This right here, right, when I multiply this out, this is going to give me the total number of staff members that were non-vaccinated. And then, okay, so from there, okay, I can go ahead and solve for that D. So let me do that here. Well, my 1 minus 0.97, that's just 3%. This is 457. Okay, so it's 1371. So this is 1 minus, so this is 1371. I know that you might be, tempted to round here. Try not to round initially, although I guess, we can't really have 13.71 non-vaccinated people. It's probably going to be, 14, right? So you can think about that. But leave your rounding until the end, okay? Just so that you get more or less an answer back. So this will just depend on your teachers. You can always ask them when they want you to round. But for this question, I'll just round at the end instead of kind of in the intermediate steps. Okay, so from here, I'm going to bring this inside of the bracket. So just distribute it through. So 13.71 minus 13.71D, 6. Now I'm going to kind of switch the sides. Let me move this over to this side and this to this side. And I'll get, so I'm just solving for that D. And then so finally, so it's I guess going to be 7.71. Okay, so that's what we have there. Divide both sides. That's gone. And it gives me, so 7.71 divided by 13.71. And so that's going to be 0.5623 and so on. They want us to round. Let me check. Yeah, make it a percent and round, okay, to the 1. So it's going to be 56%, approximately. All right. So we have about 56% of the non-vaccinated staff members that did not have a reason. That's what you would have within this question. Okay, so that's kind of how you could have set it up. It's not a very easy question, especially, okay, this component, right here. How do you set this thing up? So hopefully, it made sense to you. If not, you can leave some comments. I'll try to maybe clarify in the comments if necessary. But that's how you would solve the question. Okay, set it up and then solve. In this case, I called it D, but you can call it whatever it is that you like. Okay, bye everybody. Thanks for watching.